Hello children and welcome to our English class. Today we are starting with a new lesson. And what is that lesson about? That lesson is about the best friends of mankind. Who are the best friends of mankind? Yes, trees. Trees are the best friends of mankind. Why? See, what is important for us to live? We need food. And where do we get this food from? We get this food from trees. And then what's very important for us to live? Air. And who gives us the air? Again, trees. Trees take in carbon dioxide, the harmful gas, and they give out oxygen so that we can live. Right. And the third one, water, the most important thing. Where do we get water from? Rain is the main source of water. And who helps the clouds to melt and rain on the earth? Again, trees. So trees are the best friends of mankind. We are about to learn about a tree. But before we go, I want every one of you to do the warm-up exercise. What is the warm-up exercise that we are given here? We are given the pictures of the useful things that we get from the trees. We need to name them. See how many pictures do we have there? We have almost 7 pictures. What do you find in the first picture? Fruits. What do you find in the first picture? Fruits. So please write fruits here in the box. Then what's the next one? Vegetables. Third one, oil. Fourth, gum. Fifth one, spices. We can see cloves, right? So what are these? These are spices, garlic, cloves. And then what do we get? Rubber, right? We get rubber from trees. And finally, the most important thing, that's medicine. We also get medicine from trees. So that is how important trees are in our lives. My dear students, so we are about to learn about a tree, okay, and how few children in the village have saved their favorite fruit tree, right? So when we think of fruits, many fruits come to our mind. We think of bananas, we think of apples, watermelons, grapes and whatnot, many fruits. So especially in this season, what's the fruit that's very much available? The fruit that is available in plenty in this season is Jamun. You know Jamun? What do we call Jamun? We also call Jamun as blueberry, right? So jamuns are very, very nutritious and healthy. Putting that aside, now let us learn about how the children saved the jamun tree in the forest. Okay? So the lesson name is the jamun tree. Now every one of you, please look into the textbook and listen very carefully. There was a village near the Panchvati forest. 2 children, Rajat and Aruni, lived in the village. On hot summer days, they would rest and play under a big jamun tree in the forest. So, who are the 2 children who are introduced to us in this paragraph? What are the names? 2 children, Rajat and Aruni. What are the 2 names? Rajat and Aruni. So, their was a village. Now, where was that village? That village was near a forest. What's the name of that forest? Panchavati. The name of the forest was Panchavati. So, there was a village nearby the forest. Two children, Rajat and Aruni, lived in the village. On hot summer days. See, when we think of summer, what comes to our mind? Holidays, fun, isn't it? So, these two children, Rajat and Aruni, in summer, they will go into the forest and they will play under the shade of the big Jamun tree. The Jamun tree was big and had a big trunk. It had a lot of branches and leaves. Rajat and Aruni loved to sit in its shade. Sometimes they would run around the tree and play hide and seek. They loved to watch the squirrels running after one another. See, these are the thrills of watching the nature. You'll be thrilled. You'll have a lot of fun and entertainment when you go into the forest and observe things. So, what would Rajat and Aruni do, sir? Rajat and Aruni will run around the tree. Why? Because it isn't a very small tree, sir. It's a big tree. It has a big trunk. It has a big trunk and it has a lot of leaves. So, Arun and Rajat will sometimes run around the tree and sometimes they would play hide and seek. I know hide and seek is a favorite game to many of you, right? They love to watch the squirrels. Now, you know squirrels? Squirrels are those small animals that run here and there very swiftly, very quickly. They take small nuts and store those nuts in the trunks of the trees. Whenever you find a small hole in the tree trunk, then definitely it is the house of a squirrel. It will save all the nuts in the trunk, right? So, this is how Rajat and Aruni enjoyed the summer holidays, running around the tree, playing hide and seek. The tree was the home of many birds. Rajat and Aruni liked watching birds bringing twigs to build their nests. Now, what is the meaning of twigs? We have come across a new word here, twigs. Twigs are the small branches, small, weak, feeble. So, squirrels will be running here and there, right? Then the birds, as Jamun tree is a very big tree, it sheltered, it became the home to many other birds. Rajat and Aruni, when they sit under the shade of the tree, what do they see? Sometimes they see birds carrying small twigs, small branches. For what? To build a nest on the Jamun tree. So, once a year, the tree would be full of purple jamuns. Rajat and Aruni would collect the jamuns for themselves and their families. They named the tree Jamuni, meaning the purple one. One morning, Rajat and Aruni saw three men at Ramu Chacha's tea stop. The men were carrying axes. Can you tell us the way to the forest? One of the men asked Ramu Chacha. So what do we know, my dear children? We know that different trees yield fruits in different seasons. For instance, in summer, mangoes. So, where do we get mangoes only in the summer. Then we get custard apples only in winter. Likewise, we get different fruits in different seasons. Now, our Jamun tree, once a year, it will give lots of fruits. What would Rajat and Aruni do? Rajat and Aruni will collect those fruits and they will take them to their families. Now you might be wondering, sir, why the name Jamuni tree? The name was given to the tree as Jamuni tree because of the color of its fruits. The color of the fruits is purple, and purple in Hindi is called Jamuni color. So, because of the color of the fruits the tree yielded, the tree got that name, the Jamuni tree. So, one morning when Rajat and Aruni were playing, what did they notice? They found that three people, three men, strange men, three people were found where at Ramu Chacha's tea shop. Who's Chacha? Chacha is uncle. Usually in villages we call people with relations. We call them Mama or Chacha. Mama is uncle, Chacha is uncle. Chacha is considered to be the brother of father. So, usually elderly people in a village, if there is an elderly man, everybody calls them Chacha. So, Ramu Chacha's tea shop, there were three men. And what were they holding? They were holding axes in their hands. What were they holding, sir? They were holding axes. I think you know what is an axe, right? The one that is used to cut down the trees. You can see in the picture in the textbook. So one of the three men asked, "Can you tell us the way to the forest? Can you tell us the way to the forest?" One of the three men asked. What do we understand from that? We understand that they are planning to go to forest. After the men left for the forest, Rajat said, "What will these men do with the axes? We must find out. Let's go to the forest," said Aruni. On reaching the forest, they heard a noise. Thuk, 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 thuk. The strangers were cutting down the trees. Rajat and Aruni are as curious children as you are. When they found three strangers going into the forest with axe, they got a doubt. What are these three people going to do in the forest with these axes? So immediately Rajat said, "We must find out." Then Aruni also said, "Chalo, let's go to the forest." Now they slowly went into the forest. When they entered into the forest, what did they listen to? They listened to the sound. What sound? Thuk, thuk, thuk sound. So that was the sound of axe chopping the trees. Rajat and Aruni, when they went into the forest, they saw that the strangers were cutting down the trees in the forest. "Stop that!" Rajat and Aruni shouted loudly. "Why are you cutting down these trees?" "Go away, don't disturb us," said one of the men angrily. The two children did not like them cutting down the trees. These men would soon cut down the Jamuni tree too. So Rajat and Aruni felt very bad because they were cutting down the trees. So what did Rajat do? Rajat and Aruni, both of them together, shouted in a loud voice. What did they say? "Stop that! Why are you cutting down the trees?" One of the three strangers replied to Rajat and Aruni in a very angered voice. What did he say? "Go away, don't disturb us." Rajat and Aruni felt very bad and very sad. They didn't like the trees being cut down, and they realized very soon after cutting down the trees they were chopping. Now they will go to the Jamuni tree and cut it down. So let's go and ask our teacher for help, said Rajat. They ran all the way to their teacher's house. Now Rajat got an idea. What was that idea? We are children. We can't stop them. We can't stop them from cutting down the trees. So what would we do? We'll get help. So my dear children, seeking help is always good. When there are things that are beyond our ability, we should seek help, just like how Rajat did. What did Rajat do? Rajat got an idea. He said, let's go to the teacher and ask for help. Immediately they ran all the way to the teacher's house. On hearing the story, the teacher started ringing the school bell. The villagers asked each other, why is the school bell ringing on a holiday? Let's go and see. They hurried to the school. The teacher told them that the three men were doing. The teacher told them what the three men were doing. The villagers were angry. How cruel, they said. They followed the children to the forest. See, that's a smart idea. Rajat immediately ran to their teacher and told the teacher what the strangers were doing in the forest. Then immediately what did the teacher do? The teacher came to the school and he started ringing the school bell. But it was holidays time. So everybody in the village were like surprised. Why is the teacher ringing the bell on a holiday, school bell on a holiday? Everybody got a doubt, not just doubt, they were also curious. They were also interested to know why the teacher was ringing the bell on a holiday. So every one of them assembled, gathered, came together to the school. When all the villagers came to the school, then the teacher told them what the three strangers were doing. Then, how cruel! Everybody felt that it is very bad to cut the trees down. Nobody was like, it's okay, but everybody felt bad. Oh, they thought, how cruel it is to cut the trees. The men were about to cut down Jamuni, the three strangers in the forest. They were about to cut down Jamuni. Stop! Don't touch that tree! The villagers shouted. The men got scared on seeing so many people. They threw away their axes and ran as fast as they could. What happened, sir? Now, after the teacher explained what was happening in the forest, all the villagers joined the teacher along with Rajat and Aruni. They went to the place where the strangers were cutting the trees. Now the strangers were ready to cut the Jamuni tree down. When they were about to hit the Jamuni tree, the villagers shouted, "Stop it! Don't touch the tree." The strangers looked. It is not Rajat and Aruni now to annoy them, to tell them, "Go away, don't disturb us." It's a large gathering. It's a huge crowd. The entire village has come. So they were annoyed. The strangers were afraid. They threw their axes and ran away from there. Thus, Rajat and Aruni saved the Jamuni tree and many other trees. From that day, all the villagers took turns to guard the trees. If we love something, we must care for it. See, that's a wonderful statement. When we love something, we must care for it. So how did the villagers care the forest? How did the villagers care the trees? So that no other person can come and cut down the trees, the villagers took turns. Today it is my turn to guard the forest. Tomorrow somebody else's turn. Tomorrow somebody else. In this way, all the villagers took turns to guard. What is the meaning of guard? To keep a watch, to protect, to save, right? So, this is what the villagers did with the forest. Understood, sir? So, trees are our best friends. We love them. It is also our responsibility to protect them. Okay? So, my dear children, always remember, a tree will always help us. So try to plant as many trees as possible. and not just planting the trees, also try to protect the trees that are there so that nobody else can cut them down. Okay, just like be Rajat and Aruni. So my dear children, I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Let us meet with the grammar part in our next class. Until then, take care. Thank you so much. Love you all.